Nintendo really needs more games. The Mario movie came out not too long ago and it is a massive success. Having made over $1 billion, it is currently the 18th highest grossing movie of all time, and it'll almost definitely be the highest grossing movie of 2023. Of course, Mario is such a hot franchise right now, and so Nintendo is putting all of their resources into not releasing a single Mario game. The last major Mario release was Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury in 2021. Mario 3D World was a port of a game that came out in 2013, but Bowser's Fury was a fun little side game, essentially a short 3D Mario game in the same vein as Odyssey, 64, and Sunshine. I got a lot of enjoyment out of Bowser's Fury, but I also kind of feel like it was an experiment to see how well Nintendo could reuse mechanics, engines, and assets to make an entirely new game, and for the most part I'd say it's a success considering they did the same thing for Mario Party and Zelda, but we'll get to that. The only issue is they're not making games faster. The newest true full 3D Mario game is Super Mario Odyssey, which came out in 2017. I still consider Super Mario Odyssey the greatest Mario game to this day, but there are areas where it can be improved and new directions that the series can go. Why not try making it open world, kind of like Bowser's Fury, but taking it to the next level? Completely different environments that flow seamlessly together, letting you walk from Peach's castle to all the other levels. Of course, with Mario Odyssey's warp system and with Yoshi in the overworld to help you get around quicker. Better yet, keep the collectathon style, but add some cooperative multiplayer. But Nintendo doesn't listen to fans, so I'll have to save that idea for another video. If you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment, and you know the rest. So given that there hasn't been a true 3D Mario game in 6 years, it completely baffles me that Nintendo didn't release one alongside the movie. Nintendo could capitalize off of this trend big time, way more than they already have. I mean, I get that they have such a high standard of quality for 3D Mario games, they can't just reuse assets and call it a day, unless it's Mario Galaxy 2, or Super Mario 3D Land, or Super Mario 3D World, or Bowser's Fury. Why not a 2D Mario game then? There's no standard of quality there. We haven't seen a new 2D Mario game since 2012, not counting the awful re-release in 2019, and not counting either Super Mario Maker games, since those are technically spin-offs. Nintendo just announced Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which looks amazing, especially considering most of their recent 2D Mario games have been incredibly generic. For the past couple of decades now, indie developers have really been pushing the limits of what a 2D platformer can be, while Nintendo has been reusing the same assets over and over again. Don't get me wrong, New Super Mario Bros. U was a breath of a little bit of fresh air, but that was mostly because of the interconnected overworld, the slightly different shade of green in the background in World 1, and 2 new renditions of 1 new song, and it was the first Mario game in HD. Other than that, it was just New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which, aside from 4-player multiplayer, was just New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. We haven't had a new 2D Mario game built from the ground up since 2006. And now we're finally getting one at the end of the year, just in time for all the hype around the Mario movie to die out. Nintendo, why? Mario Wonder looks great though. So much personality compared to the new Super Mario Bros. Games. And it has Daisy in it, which shocked me considering she's not even a Miyamoto character. The last time we saw a non-Miyamoto character in a non-spin-off Mario game was when Wario was in Super Mario 64 DS. I kinda hope that this means that more non-Miyamoto characters will start appearing in mainline Mario games again. Maybe Wario could be the main villain, or at least a world boss. Either way, good job Nintendo. You're almost getting your act together in one of your series. Speaking of spin-offs, what about Mario Kart? There hasn't been a new Mario Kart game since 2014, not counting the re-release or the awful mobile game. So naturally, in preparation for the Mario movie, which heavily promoted Mario Kart, Nintendo is making DLC for a game that's old enough to go through puberty. I guess it's something, but fans have been asking for a new Mario Kart for a long time since we haven't had one in 9 years. And Nintendo gives us DLC for Mario Kart 8, which is mostly remakes from older Mario Kart games, including Tour, which again was awful. The excuse they always seem to give is that they have such a high standard of quality for their games, which really means we're too conceited to trust new talent to make our games. We want our old, out-of-touch executives to oversee every little creative decision so that we don't accidentally try something new. Sometimes I think that if all the Nintendo executives were taking a test and you gave them all the answers, they would just fill in B for every single question because that's just the bubble they feel like filling in. And when you ask them why they got question 13 right, they say it was an artistic process. We had to get questions 1 through 12 wrong in order to get 13 just right. Don't even get me started on The Legend of Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom just came out, and while it is an amazing game, most of the time I feel like I'm playing Breath of the Wild again. It has the same overworld as Breath of the Wild, just modified, which kind of takes away from the exploration aspect of it to an extent. And there's still new ground to explore. There's the Sky Islands, which sometimes add to the experience. And there's the caves and the depths, which are amazing. But most of the time you're exploring the same world, collecting a lot of the same materials, still collecting Korok seeds, still exploring shrines, still trading 4 shrine tokens to a goddess statue to get either a heart container or a stamina vessel. And the main quest progression seems pretty similar from what I've seen so far. I really hope I'm wrong about that. All of this would be fine if it came out 2 or 3 years after Breath of the Wild, but no, it came out 6 years after Breath of the Wild. To put that into perspective, Breath of the Wild came out 6 years after Skyward Sword, and it is a radically different experience, especially in just the sheer scale of everything, all the stuff you can do. On top of that, between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, you had A Link Between Worlds, 2 amazing remakes, 1 decent remake, and 1 remake. Tears of the Kingdom released 6 years after Breath of the Wild, with no new 2D game in between, and only 2 mediocre remakes in between. It's okay to reuse assets, but at least make a completely new experience out of it like you did with Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was a completely different game from Ocarina of Time, having a new story, new overworld, new central mechanics, and so much more. And it released only 2 years after Ocarina of Time, not 6. If they're gonna make us wait 1/3 of a childhood for a new Zelda game, at least have the decency to give us a completely new experience that makes us feel like kids again. Nintendo has had an issue with content scarcity ever since the later days of the Wii, and it really showed on the Wii U since the Wii U had virtually no third-party support, and the first-party games we did get were few and far between. As a result, Wii U owners only got like 4 good games a year if they were lucky. The Switch has the best third-party support of any Nintendo console since the Super Nintendo, but the hardware was definitely outdated from the start, and so third-party games generally range from barely playable to better on PC. When the Switch first came out, I really didn't think this would be an issue since they were going from 2 systems to 1 system, putting all of their games on 1 system, and so the Switch would have twice as many games. Where's the content, Nintendo? I know that Nintendo wants their games to be works of art, and so they really do put the effort into making sure that they're not releasing an unfinished product, unless it's one of these games. All Nintendo needs to do is be willing to pass the torch to new talent and maybe even some of their first-party subsidiaries, and hold them to their high standards. That's what they've been doing with Retro Studios this whole time. I think they haven't released anything since 2014. It's a management issue. I think Nintendo is trying to take a similar approach to Grand Theft Auto 5 and Minecraft, but without actually keeping their games updated. The thing with Minecraft and GTA 5 is that despite being released over 10 years ago, they're still receiving free content updates. The reason I believe this is Nintendo's thought process is because their games never receive price cuts. Super Mario Odyssey is still $60. When they release a game, it gets 2 or 3 free content updates and then never gets updated again, and never gets a price drop. Animal Crossing New Horizons is the 2nd best-selling game on the Switch, and it stopped receiving free content updates after the first and probably only ever DLC pack came out, but they still stopped giving it free content at the peak of its popularity. Nintendo's approach to DLC is to keep the fans waiting a very long time and then eventually maybe give some DLC to the best sellers. Breath of the Wild has DLC, and it's amazing. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is getting DLC, which would have been better if they did it in 2018, but whatever. I haven't played Happy Home Paradise because I lost interest in Animal Crossing after 3 months of barely making any progress and not really knowing what to do next. Maybe I should start time traveling. I'd enjoy the game a lot more if I did. But my point is, most of Nintendo's games that really need DLC just don't have them. Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Mario Party Superstars, Super Mario Maker 2, basically anything with Mario in it except Mario Kart. Heck, Breath of the Wild could have used more DLC, considering that's basically what Tears of the Kingdom was. I've been needing more Mario Odyssey ever since about 2 months after I started playing. And while Bowser's Fury was a great stopgap, where's the next Mario Odyssey, or the next big Mario game? Star Fox hasn't had a good game since either the Nintendo 64 or the GameCube, depending on whether or not you're an idiot. In 2021, Metroid had its first good release since 2007. Don't talk about F-Zero in front of me. Maybe Nintendo's about to announce their next console, and there's a ton of games in development for that. I doubt it, considering they've just released a major Zelda game, but who knows? Maybe we'll get another situation kind of like in 2017 where Nintendo released 2 of the greatest games of all time alongside a bunch of other content. The fact of the matter is, Nintendo has tons of money, tons of studios, tons of talent at their disposal, and they're not using them to their fullest potential. If the most recent release from Nintendo isn't my thing, I've got nothing to play for several months. I think one of their biggest problems is that they're just too purists to let new talent touch their precious little franchises, and as a result, we're just not getting enough games from them. If Nintendo is going to have the same story in every Mario game, why not have multiple studios working on Mario so that they can release a Mario game every year? Why not do something similar with Zelda, having a creative team led by Aonuma oversee multiple studios developing multiple Zelda games, so maybe we could get a Zelda game every 2 or 3 years. I love Nintendo, and I want to see them do better, which is why I'm making this video, and I'll be making more videos in the future about what Nintendo's doing right, what they need to do to improve, game reviews, game discussions, all that fun stuff. So if you're interested, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you like this video, make sure you leave a like and a comment. This is my first real game discussion video in years, so if you're interested, here's one of my older ones. Go ahead and check that out. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any of my new content. My name is Octopus Joey. Bye.